Howard University is one great institution located and prepared by its history to be the international center in which the Negro shall come to full self-consciousness about where he is, where he hopes to go, what difficulties are in the way, and how he can get there. Nothing but the application of intelligence, persistent intelligence, in a multitude of complex directions can possibly accomplish the thing which we all desire and which we must have if our destiny is to be fulfilled. You are among those who are prepared to take part in a great enterprise. You have here enjoyed the fruits of the labors of the founders. You cannot be self-respecting men and women unless you also participate in the spirit of the founders. Mordecai Wyatt Johnson, former president of Howard University. We are 8 students at Howard University here seeking the campus to find those who have worked to preserve African knowledge. We interviewed 6 of Howard University's finest faculty in order to discover Howard's intellectual history. We plan to pinpoint the actions of those Howard scholars who fought and continue to fight to make known the wisdom of people of African descent. We presented our findings through a documentary, and this is what we found.
Okay, some of the notable scholars in the Department of History at Howard University, if you come to Douglas Hall on the 3rd floor, you can see most of their pictures. Here on the floor you have, of course, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, Rayford Logan, William Leo Hansberry, Maurice Tate, Lorraine Hansberry, Rayford Logan, Joseph E. Harris are some of the notable scholars that have taught here at Howard University.
Well, one of the reasons that scholarship was important because you got to go back and you got to think about a time period in which African Americans was actually building institutions. And Howard is one of the leading institutions in which African Americans helped to develop the black personality. And within that black personality, the foundation of our personality is our experiences as African Americans, but also our experiences as Africans descendant of the continent of Africa, as well as those living here in the African diaspora. So these scholars took it upon themselves to not only document our history, but as well as developing teachers, developing scholars, developing community institutions that will also teach our history to the public.
All my ladies,
Well, it begins with teaching of African history, and particularly the connection, the African diaspora in the Americas, but also in Europe and Asia, Asia at large. Africa has been a place very global rather than isolated and cut off from the rest of the world. But in particular, exchange programs would be one, and Howard University provides a lot of that. African Studies program also, and more dialogue between diasporic Africans and continental Africans through conferences, even African Student Association and Black Student Association at a practical level in terms of how to promote Africa, and also You have President Obama with the training of African youth. So in the DC area, there's a lot of opportunities going to some of these conferences and museums. Willie Soyinka was here recently.
Yes.
So there are a lot of opportunities to make it available and to encourage students to go and even study abroad in Africa. Recently, they celebrated. I was the 60th anniversary of the Department of African Studies, and you have African students who studied here, went back home. And so there's a linkage there, I think, that needs to be cultivated more.
Okay, well, it's a fairly simple story. I needed a job. That's point number one. But originally, I was hired by the person who ran our program, Professor Robert Cummings, and we had known each other in graduate school and at UCLA. And so when I contacted him to see if there were any jobs in this area, he said, well, you should consider Howard University. And so I came here and they interviewed me, and so I was hired here in 1977, so that goes back quite a few years. So I've been here, I've been at other universities as a visiting professor, but Howard has been my base for the last 36 years.
I came here to be around greatness, and I heard that great minds come to Howard. So I said, if I want to be around great minds, be around great people that's going to do great things, that will be the history of tomorrow that our children will be reading about, I must come to Howard.
Well, it's quite challenging, working at Howard, period, on a day-to-day basis. It's quite challenging, but it's also quite fulfilling, especially when you see students at the end of the academic year don those robes of majesty, so to speak, and then receive their degrees, the parents, family, friends all gathered. So, that's really one of the rewards, and leaving Howard and going to continue the spirit, that was injected in them here, to be of service to humanity, be of service to the local, to America and to the global community. So it's quite fulfilling, but again, as I said, it's not easy. It's quite challenging, but in the end, this is it's a passion that we have, and personally, I just take pride to be a part of this enterprise here in Howard.
Yeah! Oh. It's rough and smooth.
The significance of Howard's history department, I feel the focus on Black history compared to other history departments at predominantly white institutions. We definitely have an Afro-centered focus. Looking at the Howard's history department compared to other HBCU history departments, I think it's very in line with making sure that African history and African American history is taught, it's in the forefront, and that the students come away with a strong sense of self as they leave the classes in the Department of History at Howard.
Where it was before it started. Because our department comes out of fire and out of change and trying to seek identity and purpose outside of being defined by, the broader American society, as opposed to having the same curriculum as a society that historically has sought to limit the definition of what it is to be Black. So Afro-American studies then becomes that pipeline into bringing that dimension into Howard in one place, in one department, and one environment where you can fully explore all of the ins and outs and the nuances of African people and their experiences.
Remix! It's
and Jaiye.
One is that we constantly want to be renewed. And our faculty, a lot of us have been here for a long time. And, you know, in the next 5 years, most of us will be retiring. And so one of the things we have to plan for is a younger generation coming in, and we want to mentor them and get them ready to take over. So our department's going to look, I think, very different 5 years from now, because we mature academics are going to be retiring. I know I'm going to be retiring. So that's one thing. And the second thing is we always hope we're going to get more faculty to expand our offerings. So there's certain areas that we would love to have specialists in that we don't have right now. So I would hope that would be a good way of renewing what we do, bringing more energy into the department.
See, I catch you go. Yeah. Baby, I catch you go. My jollof rice, how you dey do today? My tomato just yo, I don't think about you. You dey make me dey wonder, because you love me so tender. But now I am darling, cause here is so boring. For a very long time, I done the shivo, and it be like Senna fever. I dey catch it cold. Oh, you not tomorrow. See, I dey catch it cold. Oh, you not tomorrow. Baby, I dey catch it cold.
As you can see, oh yes, yeah, very honest. Mo fẹ́ kọ́lé fún màmá mi, mo fẹ́ ralé fún bàbá mi. Ayé ní Miami, Maserati fún ìyàwó mi. Ferrari, Versace, Ferragamo, Bugatti. Owó lóògùn tó rí, mo fẹ́ lówó bí Adénúgà. Mo fẹ́ Sosa, Ngozi Pepe. All of them for me, Atiti baby now. You cannot believe what I have seen with my eyes. Say my people, it is a beautiful story, na. See, I fought through defeat, now I am living a better life, and I'm thankful for the life that I am living.